Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this easy and delicious French toast bake. You're going to need a mixing bowl, a spoonula, a teaspoon measuring spoon, quarter cup measuring cup, fork, pizza cutter, and cutting board. You're also going to need milk, flaky layer biscuits, 1 can, 4 eggs, vanilla, and cinnamon. And to get started, to let you know, this can be an overnight soak, which actually makes it super delicious. And I've tried it with other biscuits, but the flaky layer biscuits with the butter are just like the best with this. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put 4 eggs in your mixing bowl. It doesn't have to be the measuring cup. I just use this because it has a cover, because I'm going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator. So you crack your 4 eggs, and I just, for purposes, I like to crack my eggs on a flat surface. Alton Brown showed us this, so you don't get shells shoved up in your eggs. And I'm just using them on a napkin there for purposes, but usually I do them on a plate. Then you want to add your 1/4 cup of milk. You can use whole milk or half and half. I've even used cream before, and it just adds to that custardy feel. I really like it. Then you're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. This is really good Mexican vanilla extract. It's really good. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So, of course, if you like a more vanilla-y French toast, if you like to add sugar to your French toast, which people have done before, I, of course, don't want to add any extra sugar to my French toast. If you like more cinnamon, some people like nutmeg in their French toast. You can add whatever you want to that part. It's really about the 4 eggs, the method, the letting it soak, and the baking that I'm going to teach you. And then I like to blend mine with a fork. I find a fork so much better than a whisk for cracking the egg yolks. I think I've told you guys that before. And there's something about it. I just feel like it adds really nice air to the eggs than a whisk does. All right, and keep your fork because you're going to mix in the biscuits in a second as you go. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take the small cookie cutter. And I have found that you can use a kitchen shear, which works too. But I found this pizza cutter trick is like the best, easiest way. So basically, once you open your biscuit dough, you want to cut your pieces. I found in bite-sized pieces are the best because they do expand, first of all. Second of all, it does add to that. It does help with that soaking in of the custard to give that flavor. And it also has a lot of surface area. So when you cut into it, you'll see a lot of pieces that are encased in the French toast batter as opposed to just like big chunks. So two cutting methods are you cut the biscuit in thirds, then you cut the 2 little round pieces in half, and then you can cut the middle into 4 pieces. And that gives you 7, they're roughly like 2 ounces, these biscuits, because you get 8 for 16 ounces or 8 biscuits. So that's just one method. But another way I like to do it, I'll show you here in a second, is to cut it in even smaller pieces. Well, I like to get 10, which is that right? 10? 10 or actually 12 is actually what I like. So what you do is you cut the biscuit in 4, then you cut the 2 round ends in half, and then the 2 middles you cut into 4, 3 or 4 each. So that's how you can get 10. But the smaller the pieces, the better, you know. And with the kitchen shears, you can do this as well. Might even be something that you can have your kids help you with when you use the kitchen shears, as long as, with supervision and stuff. Now, you could do this with a steak knife or whatever, just, as long as you don't want to tear up the biscuit. Now, what I'm doing is I'm breaking the pieces up, and then every 1 or 2 biscuits, I stir them in so that the biscuits don't stick to each other. They get coated in the egg. All right. And then you're just going to continue with the rest. And here, I'll show you here the other cutting method. So if you cut the biscuit in half and then cut each half in half, you'll get 4 same widths. Then I take the 2 round ends and I cut them in half again. And you can even cut these in thirds, which I have done that before too. Sprinkle them over the top. And then you take the two middle sections, and I am slowed down here to show you guys, okay? I just want to show you how fast it really does go fast. And you can cut these in thirds, or you can cut them in fourths, so you can get even more. All right, and then as you go, you want to stir it up, make sure everything's coated with egg. You want egg to keep the biscuit pieces from getting stuck together. I think I said that already. So here is a little bit real time. It's a little faster. That's how fast it really goes. And that's how you can cut it in fours, which you actually get even more pieces. You get 12 pieces to biscuit. All right. Now we're going to cover this and put it in the refrigerator. I'm actually doing this the night before, but you can do it minimum of 10 minutes. You want to let them soak. So you can do it overnight, or you can do it an hour before or 2 hours before. Just if you're going to let them soak, put them in the refrigerator. All right, and then this is the next morning, preheating my oven for 375, which is the biscuit temperature. So that's how I started. When I created this recipe, I said, let's do the biscuit temperature. So as the next day, you can see it's kind of thinned out or thickened out. And I have here, my original recipe was for an 8x8 pan, which depending on how much time you have to cook, okay? So an 8x8 pan will take a little bit longer to bake. This is a 7x11 pan, I believe, and excuse me, and or it could even be 8x10, and this will take a little bit longer. I mean, a little bit shorter, because if we're going to spread the biscuit out, it's not going to be many layers of biscuit. All right, and I'm just taking some butter, and this is optional. I have done this with and without butter before. I've done it with and without cooking spray before. It depends on the pan that you use. This is Temptations by Tara, and usually I don't have to do any more than cooking spray. Actually, there's many things I cook that you don't use anything at all. But for this, I've done cooking spray before, I've done it without, and I've done it with the butter. And the butter is really just for flavor. The butter, believe it or not, does tend to let it stick a little bit extra, but that's beside the point. So I've put some butter in there, and I've just taken a napkin and spreaded the butter out. Okay, and then just get the big chunks out. Just trying to make it even, make sure all the sides are coated. All right. And now we're going to take the biscuits out. Now, I don't want to just pour them in, because there is extra egg, and it does leave like, I've done it before, so I'll show you, that it does leave like a thick layer of like this not very appetizing tasting egg mixture on the bottom. Well, it's not terrible. Let's put it that way. It's not terrible, but it's just not necessary. So I'm scooping out all the biscuits. We're going to pour a little bit of the custard on top, because we don't want it to dry out. But for the most part, I'm just scooping out the big pieces of biscuit, and I'm making sure I spread them all in one layer. And then what I do is I take a little bit of the custard, and don't be surprised if you don't have any custard left over. Depending on how long you soak them for, and then how big you cut your biscuits will depend on how much actual custard you have left over. So I just sprinkle some custard on the top and spread it around. I put it in a 375 oven for 25 minutes in this pan, or 30 minutes in an 8x8. And it's not a 30-minute total cooking time, because after the end of the 25 minutes or 35 minutes, we take some cinnamon sugar and we sprinkle it on top. This is a purchased cinnamon sugar that I got at the Dollar Tree, but you can make your own cinnamon sugar. I like a 1-to-4 ratio of cinnamon to sugar. And I just think this adds a little crunch on the top, a little bit of sweetness, and also a little bit extra cinnamon flavor. And then we bake it for 10 more minutes. So this pan is a total baking time of 35 minutes. The 8x8 pan is a total baking time of 45 minutes. So when the timer goes off, I put my sausage in. These are 2-minute sausage. You want this just to sit for, I was going to say 5 minutes, but by the time I take it out, wait for the sausage, put it on the table, and serve it, it will be 5 minutes. And it's really just, so, I mean, you don't really need to even wait 5 minutes. This one doesn't fall apart, but that's just standard. I feel like for every casserole, they always tell you let it sit 5 minutes before you cut into it. But then, there it is. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. The color is just magnificent. So what I do on occasion, depending on my mood and how I'm feeling, is I butter the top. Now that's totally optional. I've had plenty of times where I haven't buttered the top. Everybody just butters their individual piece. But today I'm going to show you how I butter the top. So I just take a rubber spatula. This is one from the Dollar Tree, Betty Crocker double-ended. And I take just a tablespoon of butter. That's really all it is. I actually don't even have a whole tablespoon here. I'm going to go back for the rest. There you go. And I'm just spreading it across the hot casserole. And it does add a beautiful shine if you're having company and you want to, you're having guests. Even the big chunks that are there, they'll be melted by the time we get to the table. All right? And yes, we keep butter out. I never did this whole life growing up, but Mom has kept butter out her whole life, and she's a very healthy, going to be 70 years next year. So, and there it is, and it looks delicious. And I like to cut it in strips, which I was cutting it this morning and realized, why do I cut it in strips? And I'll tell you why. I take the leftover strips and I put them in my toaster the next day or the day after, and that's how I like to reheat them. But you really don't have to cut them that way. You can cut them in the same shape as your spatula. And here it is. You see all the beautiful cinnamon around all of the layers. And I serve mine with sugar-free syrup, and Mom and Jim use regular butter-flavored syrup and breakfast sausage. I always think that goes good with syrupy stuff. So that's it. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Share with friends and family, anybody you know who'd be interested in making this wonderful dish. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, join the family. When you do, a little bell will pop up. Ring that bell, and YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye.